If you're using AI to help with your copywriting, you're saving yourself a bunch of time, but you might be costing yourself a bunch of sales because AI copywriting tends to sound stiff, robotic, not very human, and that causes distrust, disconnect, and a lack of sales. So today we're going to talk about ways to get your AI sounding more human in your copywriting process. But before we get into all of that, want to know our most forbidden marketing secrets that turn your audience into raving fans who gobble up your every offer, fiercely reject your competition, and go out to do your selling for you? If that sounds like something you need in your business or for your clients, go join our private cultish marketing school group over at forbiddenmarketingsecrets.com. When you do, you'll get access to things we don't dare share on YouTube. There's a whole community of business owners and marketers just like you who love to geek out on marketing and cult building psychology, waiting to connect with you. So if you dig what we're doing here and you want access to the stuff that YouTube won't let us show you, go join the cultish marketing community over at forbiddenmarketingsecrets.com. All right, welcome back to Forbidden Marketing Secrets. I'm Nathan Frazier.
And I'm Lily Elizabeth.
And we're going to be talking about AI copywriting and how to make your AI copy sound more human, thus get more sales. And this is a huge problem because I keep seeing more and more stuff written by AI. I keep seeing more and more comments, more and more Facebook and X posts and social media posts, LinkedIn posts, and emails. And I can tell that they're written by AI. And as soon as I know that it's written by AI, I stop reading.
Yep. Immediate AI red flag.
There you go. And we don't want that triggering. And for us, we're marketers. We can detect it. We've been working with AI for the last year or so. We've been implementing it. We can detect it right away. The average person probably can't immediately detect it, but they might have a subtle red flag that goes off.
Yeah, there's some clues.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about some of the things that AI gets wrong and how to fix it and just simple adjustments to your prompts that you can make to get more human sounding, more persuasive copy from your AI. So let's go ahead and just jump into it, Lily. And we've got, actually, you know what, for a preface on this, you almost exclusively use AI for the content. We've worked on a lot of bots together.
Yes.
We have kind of had to figure this out as we go. A lot of, oh, that's not what we wanted. How do we fix this? How do we get it sounding better? What has been your experience with getting the wrong output from AI?
Ooh, I mean, it happens often enough. I think that with the right prompt, then you get some really good material. But I tend to tell it what I do and what I don't like, and it does better and better each time.
Oh, you were telling me that from your process at least, it's starting to remember the things from previous conversations that you do or don't like.
It does. I love it. It remember my preferences, my opinions.
There you go. So that is one thing. You can do this, but that is kind of a tedious, and it's just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping it remembers. Yep. What I like to do is, as I'm going through and I'm like, "Oop, I don't like this. I'm going to tell it to do it this way instead." Once I get it doing it the way I want it to do, I save that. I'm like, okay, telling it to do it this way, got what I wanted. I'm going to save that, add it to my list of prompts. And generally, the stuff that we're going to be talking about today, generally, and you've seen this, at the bottom of my prompts or at the bottom of my templates, I have a whole list of rules for writing. And as I massage out different things, I add it to that list. And so then it gets added to every single prompt going forward. Let's go ahead and just jump into the very first one here and talking about the rules for writing. The way that I set this up is inside of my templates at the very bottom, I have a whole list of, hey, these are the rules that you have to follow. And the reason, I think the main reason is AI is trained on the internet. It went through all the different blog posts and it went through all the different forums and sales pages and all these different things. And it trained itself to write the way people write on the internet.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people write on the internet the way that they think they're supposed to write, the way their high school teacher taught them to write, the way that their college English teacher told them how to write, the way that their HR department told them they're supposed to write. That doesn't sound natural. It sounds like a corporate English teacher combination of writing, and we don't like that. It immediately, for me at least, it immediately feels like homework or like scolding from the HR department. I've gotten a lot of those in my day. So we don't really like the way that people write, especially when we're trying to enjoy what we're reading. And I want people to enjoy what they're reading. So I add these rules to kind of overcome the way that AI naturally wants to write. And so the first one, and this is something that people do all the time, which is not using contractions.
Ooh.
Instead of saying I will, or instead of saying you will, or we did not, I say I'll or will. We'll meet you over there. I didn't like that movie. I don't say I did not like that movie.
So formal.
Exactly. But that's the way that we write, though. Most people, when they're writing, they type out, I did not like this movie.
Totally.
Even though that's not how they would naturally say it. And unless you're a copywriter, unless you go back and read your writing and say, I wouldn't say I did not. I would have said I didn't enjoy the movie. So that's my first rule, is stop. Anytime that there's two words that can be combined into one, every time that you can use a contraction, use that rather than separating it into two words. Again, as a copywriter, I want it to be quick, concise. I want as little of words as possible. And that usually ends up helping out. Do you ever find yourself when you're writing, looking back and being like, wow, that sounds way more formal than I would just say it?
And then I have to go back and simplify it. But really what helps me is talking it out. Like, how would I say this to my bestie? How would I say this to Nate? How would I say this to my dad?
And I think that that's one secret is in copywriting, go back and read what you've written.
Yes.
And every time that you're like, is that how I would say it? No, I wouldn't say it like that.
Totally.
Go back and reread what AI puts out for you and ask yourself, read it out loud and be like, is that how I would talk? And you'll find all kinds of instances where it doesn't sound like you at all.
Immediately, as soon as you read it out loud, you're like, oh, okay, I know what to change.
Yeah. And the thing is, your audience, if you do YouTube videos or TikTok videos, and then you're also writing stuff and you're using AI to write it, if people are used to hearing you naturally talk and then they read an email and it doesn't sound anything like...
Busted.
Yeah, exactly. Next one, and this kind of hits on the same thing. Be concise.
Yeah.
AI loves to be wordy. AI loves to over-explain things. And we don't want to do that. We want to make it as quick as a ride as possible. We want to make our writing as concise as possible. And we've got an example. We're going to go through some examples of how AI would do it and then how it would sound more human. Some of these come from one of our buddies, Jason. He's the guy that taught me this stuff.
Yes.
And I was like, dude, after I seen how he was doing it, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. I need to start going through my AI and start doing the same thing. But when it comes to conciseness, how might AI write a sentence?
Something really complicated. Like, in the event that you decide to go to the party, let me know.
Exactly.
Awkward.
Nobody would ever talk to their friend that way.
Yeah.
How would, if you were trying to say the same thing to one of your friends, how would you say that?
If you go, let me know.
Exactly.
Let me know. Yeah.
What's that? 6 words compared to 12 words?
Easy. Super easy, simple, and straight to the point.
Yes. So anytime that you're reading through your AI copy, make sure that it's not doing this long, exaggerated, blown out sentences. Tell it, hey, be concise. Don't use wordy, long, run-on sentences. Just get to the point. And one of the things that I like doing is giving it examples.
Yes.
This is the way you would normally write it. In the event you decide to go to the party, please let me know. This is the way that I want you to write it. If you go, let me know. And then by giving it the rule and an example, you're going to end up having it put out better sounding copy. Another thing, using everyday language.
Yes. I think it's so important to be using similar or at least familiar language that your audience is familiar with or resonates with.
Mm-hmm. So let's give an example of not everyday language real quick.
Yeah. So we got the culinary establishment was exquisite.
Nobody talks like, well, maybe like rich, elite liberals that look down on everybody else. Maybe they talk like that, but
I'm
the
too
rest,
good.
yes. Look at my Harvard degree. Yes. But most people don't talk like that. How would a regular person say the same sentence?
The restaurant was great. It was amazing.
Exactly. So we want to tell the AI, hey, avoid sounding like a snobby elite and just sound like an everyday person, and then give it those two examples. The way I don't want you to write, the culinary establishment was exquisite. Oh. And the way that I do want you to write, the restaurant was amazing. Next one, and this is so important, using active voice. And active voice is, instead of the door handle was turned by the unknown intruder, we want to say something like, yo, somebody turned my doorknob.
Yeah.
Or he reached out and turned the doorknob. So instead of an action happening to, active voice is you're doing the action or somebody is doing the action. And the reason that we want to do this, there's two reasons. Number one, active voice is more engaging. It's funner to read.
Yeah.
Number two, though, we want people in an active mindset. We're about to call them to take an action. And if the whole copy is passive voice, and the whole time is things being acted upon and not people taking action, when we call people to take action, we've set them in a mindset of being acted upon. But if we're constantly showing examples of people taking action, when we call them to action, their mind is in the mindset of it's time to take action. So let's go ahead and give a couple examples. Let's give the AI example of not using active voice.
All right, we got the project was completed by the team.
Exactly. So something was acted upon. The project was acted upon.
Sound like you're writing an essay with a word count.
It's true. And that's another example of where in English class, they're like, it must be at least 3,000 words. You fill it up with stuff that doesn't matter.
Fluff.
You make the sentences overly complicated and you write stuff like the project was completed by the team.
Totally.
But if you were human just writing to one of your friends, how would you say that instead?
The team completed the project.
Exactly.
Easy.
And that shows action. So it's not something being acted upon. It's people taking action. So use active voice and then give it a couple of examples. Hey, don't do it like this. The project was completed by the team. Instead, do it like this. The team completed the action, and your sales copy will get people in the mindset to take action once you call them to action.
I like that.
Last one, short sentences. This is so important. We kind of touched on this earlier, but you were talking about, before we got into this, people using $10 words, people using long, drawn-out sentences. And when they do that, what does that trigger in you?
It makes me think they're overcompensating and that they're not actually confident in what they're telling me.
Exactly. Yeah. So using long, complicated sentences, it subtly sends us a red flag. Hey, this person might be baffling me with bullshit.
Totally.
And if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it. And that's really what we're trying to convey. We understand this so we can explain it simply. We don't have to use these long, drawn-out sentences. Plus, a long sentence is hard to read anyways.
Yeah.
We don't want our stuff being hard to read. So let's give an example of a long, drawn-out sentence and then what we're looking for instead.
All right, for an AI long, drawn-out sentence, we got the man who was wearing a blue shirt and a red hat walked down the street while humming a tune. Compared to a human, which normally you'd say the man wore a blue shirt and a red hat. He hummed a tune as he walked.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Okay, so basically break that up into two sentences. Each sentence should have its own complete idea. If you're trying to jam too many ideas into one sentence, like that first one, the man who was wearing a blue shirt and a red hat walked down the street while humming a tune.
Yeah.
By the time I get to the end of that sentence, I've already forgot what the beginning of the sentence was about. Keep your sentences short, easy to read, one idea per sentence, and tell your copy to do the same.
That sentence was so long, I literally couldn't read the entirety of it. I got lost.
Okay. So second thing, actually, let's recap those real quick.
Yeah.
some basic rules for writing. Make sure that your AI is using contractions. Tell it to be concise. Use everyday language. Use active voice. And use short sentences. One idea per sentence. Next, let's move on to banned words. This is something that really triggers me. Is when I see certain words inside of posts and emails nowadays, immediately I'm like, oh, that's a word that AI uses.
Here's the kicker.
Here's the kicker. There you go. Oh my gosh, I hate it when I see that one. There are certain words that, especially if you're using AI to write, you'll see them coming up and you're like, I wouldn't say that. Maybe my grandpa might say that. That might have been something people said in the 1940s, but I don't know why I don't get it. So ban words that instantly give away that it's AI generated copy. I put in my prompt, hey, these are a list of words you're never allowed to use. And instead use a variation like, and we'll give some examples. So let's go ahead and get to the worst offender first.
Yes.
What is it?
Deep dive.
Oh my gosh. I see this so often. Now let's do a deep dive. Yes. And immediately my brain goes, oh, he's using or she's using or they, them are using AI to generate.
Red flag.
Yeah, exactly. So deep dive triggers me. Let's give an example of what I like to do is I say, instead of using deep dive, use something like let's break it down. Let's break it down doesn't come up as often. And there's this thing called ad blindness. When you're scrolling through Facebook, there's ads on the side that you never even see because you go blind to them. And if you see the same ad over and over again, as you scroll through, you stop seeing it because your mind has seen it so many times it knows to block it out. It's called ad blindness. Well, the same thing happens with AI words. If we see the same words over and over again, the first 3 or 4 times, it might grab our attention. It might work, but after we've seen 5 or 6 people do it, we learn to tune it out. And deep dive is one of those instances where it might work at first, but after a while, we start to tune it out. So find other words to come up with to use instead. And let's kind of break it down. Let's break it down.
Good example.
Why does deep dive sound like AI?
It sounds like corporate jargon. It doesn't sound like it's going to come up in a conversation between me and my bestie or, you know.
Oh, okay. If I'm explaining something to you, if we're having a conversation about how to make an ad work, I'm not going to say, Lily, let's take a deep dive. You'd look at me and you'd be like, what
Let's get into it. Let's break it down.
Let's get into it. Let's break it down. Yeah. So that's what I'll do is if I find a word that's coming up too many times, like deep dive, I'll say, hey, from now on, instead of using deep dive, let's get into it. Let's break it down. Use something that I would actually say. And if you just think, what would I actually say? Yeah. And then you just type out, hey, instead of this word that's used way too much, use something else like, let's get into it. Let's break it down.
I like that.
The next one, the next big offender.
Yeah, we got unlock your potential.
Okay. Unlock your potential is, again, it's one of those, this one is used a lot, even by human copywriters, but it always makes me cringe when I see it. Take it to the next level. Unlock your potential.
Overused.
And it might have worked 3 or 4 years ago. It might have worked 10 years ago, but people are so bored of hearing unlock your potential. And so we try to use something like get better results, get the results that you're after, something that would sound more like natural talk rather than over-promising sales copy. Yeah. Again, the AI is trained on a lot of sales letters and sales copy from the internet. And so things that copywriters overuse, the AI also tends to overuse. So I gave my reasons why I don't like unlock your potential, but why do you think that it sounds like AI?
Honestly, I feel like it doesn't give you much. And with get better results, it kind of tells you what's ahead and at least lets you know that we're improving. And I don't know. I don't think it really gives you anything to work with. Unlock
your potential is vague. It's kind of like this big unknown. What does that even mean? Unlock my potential. Empty. Yeah, exactly. It feels like an empty promise. Totally. I don't want to have empty promises. Get better results, though.
Give them something they can work with.
Exactly. It's clear. It's to the point. It tells you exactly what you're getting. Yeah. The next big offender that we got here on
Supercharge. I got so excited I almost cut you off.
Supercharge. I don't think I've ever, except for maybe when talking about cars, I don't think I've ever used supercharge.
No, me either. Unless I'm talking about a Tesla, maybe.
Okay, yeah. So instead of supercharge, which gets brought up all the time in sales copy, in AI copy, what would we use maybe instead of supercharge?
Yeah, I like improve or boost.
Boost and improve are both. What I like about them is they're not so hyperbolic.
Yeah.
Supercharged sounds like if you're trying to overly impress me, you use the word overcompensate.
Yeah.
Supercharged sounds like you're trying to overcompensate.
Totally.
Hey, you're gonna get a boost. Okay. You're gonna see an improvement.
Yeah.
Okay, that seems reasonable. You're gonna see supercharged results. Okay, you're trying to baffle me with BS again.
Yes.
And it sounds overly dramatic.
Yeah.
So that's what I think I don't like about
I
it.
agree.
Improve or boost, though, why would those likely be better alternatives?
They're more natural. I mean, they fit in more everyday conversation. It sounds like you would actually have a conversation and say, here's a boost. Here's something that will boost your sales, or this is going to boost your open rates.
Exactly.
Rather
Okay.
than, this is going to be a supercharger for your email campaign.
Some people might try that, though. The next one, next level, I think we hinted at this one earlier. This is the other one that I said, just like unlock your potential.
Yeah.
I see, take your business to the next level.
Totally.
I see next level so often. And I think, again, this is because the AI was trained off of copy that was written from the 90s to the mid 2010s. And
Get
people,
with it, AI.
yeah, people love to use next level. And it worked for a while, but now it's just kind of cringy. It's kind of like, ugh, next level, ick. What might work better than next level?
I like better than before.
Okay, so your business will be better than before, or your weight loss will be better than before. Your time you spend with your grandchildren will be better than before.
Yeah.
It's just one example, but if you sit down and brainstorm, you could probably come up with a couple of different variations and then tell the AI, every time you're going to use next level, use better than before, or use one of these other alternatives instead.
I like this because people don't have a lot of time for fluff. Like, you got to get to your message. They want to get to your message instantly. And if they got to work for it, they're going to scroll and carry on their day.
Yep, exactly. And then this is the last one. And this one is, we saved the best for last because this one is probably the most egregious of all of the offenders on the list today. Was the last one, Lily?
Game changer.
Oh my gosh.
Boom.
Game changer. And that's one of the ones that I think people do sometimes use. It's a total game changer, but AI uses it so much. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, AI wrote that. It's an overused marketing jargon. It's something that marketers love to use. And again, since AI was trained on reading sales copy, but it immediately sounds like a generic sales pitch.
It does. It's generic. I agree.
So instead of game changer, what might we train the AI to use instead?
I like big improvement or huge advantage.
Both of those, they kind of get the same point across.
Yeah.
But they sound more reasonable. They sound more believable. A lot of times AI goes crazy with the hypey.
Ooh,
It gets
yeah.
way too hype. And you've got to tone it down. You've got to be like, yo, dial it back like 15% because you totally sound like a used car salesman right now.
Oh, no.
So we've got a list of banned words that we include in our prompts, helps keep our sales copy from sounding like a used car salesman. And not just the list of banned words, but then giving it alternatives. Instead of saying game changer, say this. Instead of saying deep dive, say this. And just adding that to your prompt improves the quality of your AI sales copy. It's a total game changer for your sales copy. Let's go ahead and move on to the last one here. And we've kind of hinted at this throughout the episode, but give examples. Don't just tell it, hey, don't use game changer. Give it examples of what to use instead. Don't just tell it, use contractions. Give it examples of contractions. Give it examples of this is the way I don't want you to do it. And instead, this is the way I do want you to do it. Because otherwise, we're just expecting it to read our minds.
Yep.
And it can do it sometimes. It's creepy how it can do it sometimes. But if you give an example, if you say, hey, this is what I want, I want you to follow this rule. And then you give an example of what not following the rule looks like and then what following the rule looks like. It helps the AI from that point forward say, oh, I almost did it this way, but they gave me an example of how they really want it done. So from now on, I'm going to do it this way instead.
I like that. And man, is it good with patterns? I mean, I tell it all the time. I'm like, I hate the way that you wrote this, and I love the way you wrote this. Keep writing like this, and it'll do good.
And that's, you know what, that's another thing you were talking earlier about how it learns what your preferences are. That is something that I have noticed is when I tell it, no, I really don't like it when you do this, or when I reward it, I really like it when you do this. It seems to remember what I punish it for and what I reward. Now,
It does.
Fair warning, AI might take over pretty soon.
I know. Be nice.
Be nice. Be careful with how much you punish it.
Yes.
But telling it, no, that sucks. Don't do it that way. Do it this way instead. And then when it does a good job, be like, I love it. I love how you did it that way. Please keep doing it that way. Again, give it examples and then give it rewards when it does it right. I like to always say, thank you. That was great. That's exactly what I was looking for. And more frequently, it does great and it gives me exactly what I'm looking for. I think it's learned what it is that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And doing all of the things that we talk about today will help it learn what you're looking for faster. Okay, that is what we've got. Those are my tips and Lily's tips for how to get AI to write better sounding copy for your emails, for your social media posts, for your sales pages. But you tell us, did we miss something? Do you got a tip that we didn't cover that helps you get better sounding copy out of your AI? Leave it in the comments section. I would love to know about it. Maybe we'll feature it on an upcoming episode. And until next time, we will catch you later.
Later.
Before we're out of here, do me a favor. If you like this video, let me know. Hit that like button. If you want to catch more videos like this, smash that subscribe button. If you know a business owner or a marketer who could benefit from what we talked about in today's video, share it with them. And check out the other couple videos YouTube's recommending. I bet you'll dig them.